with thy mercy, that we may rejoice and be glad all our days. Make us glad according to the days wherein thou hast afforded us, and the years wherein we have seen evil. Now, verse 16 is my point of emphasis tonight. It says, let thy work appear unto thy servant. Now, by God's grace and mercy, we began last night on a very high note, and we saw that the hand of God upon his man, upon his people, is determined by God's foreknowledge and predestination. However, one important thing that we see in the prayer of Moses, the man of God, in this psalm, he again describes a desolate place. He describes a place that is in desolation. And he says, satisfy us early with thy mercy, that we may rejoice and be glad all our days. Make us glad according to the days wherein thou hast afflicted us, and the years wherein we have seen evil. So the people of God in context here have gone through a tough time. Have gone through difficult times. Have gone through difficult situations. And then intercession is being raised by the man of God to God, who alone can deliver them from these days of evil, from the years of sadness that they have seen. And he's telling God to bring them back, restore it. The one that said, after he went and counted the people of God without permission, and he was given 3 options. They said, choose for yourself, which of these will you take? The young man said, let us fall into the hands of the Lord, for his mercies are great. It was the same man that said, it is a terrible thing to fall into the hands of the Lord. So if the person that is bringing affliction on you is God himself, there is no, the leader is not given in isolation. There is a context within which that prayer is situated. Now the next verse is the important verse of interest to me. How will God do this? Let thy work appear unto thy servants, and thy glory unto their children. Now, when I saw this scripture, I was like, Moses would have easily said, let your work appear unto your servants, and your glory unto your children. But he seems to be saying that it is the work of the Lord that appears to the servants of the Lord that will determine what glory of the Lord that the children of the Lord's servants will see. If the children of the servants of the Lord will see glory in their day, the only hope that they will have to see the glory of God is if the works of the Lord appear unto the servants of the Lord. So the implication of that is that every generation that is rid of servants of God who lack the appearing of the work of the Lord will be rid of the glory of the Lord. When we begin to pray for the glory of the Lord, the way God reveals his glory to a generation is that he causes his work to appear unto his servants. And I know you don't understand the things I speak of just yet, but if you go to John chapter 5, let's go there. John chapter 5, and let's look at what verse 20 says. Can someone help me with that, please? Verse 20. Now, this is Jesus speaking. He says, for the Father loveth the Son. Okay, take me to verse 19. Verse 19. Then Jesus answered and said unto them, verily, verily, I say unto you, the Son can do nothing of himself. The Son can do nothing of himself, but what he seeth the Father do. For what things soever he doeth, this also doeth the Son likewise. So Jesus is basically saying that as the Son of God, I cannot do anything. Basically, what Jesus was saying is that my ministry is follow. It is what I see that I do. That is what Jesus was saying. And that is the template of ministry. Your ministry is supposed to be patterned after. You see, God is not doing anything new with you. Do you understand what God is saying? Do you understand what I'm saying? If God is doing something on the earth through you, whatever God is doing doing is something that is a continuation of his original work. Right? So, even Jesus, the Son of Man, says that of my own self I can do nothing. Whatsoever things I do is what I see my Father do. Verse 20, he says, for the Father loveth the Son, and showeth him all the things that he himself doeth, and he will show him greater works than this. And what is the implication? That ye may marvel. The implication of the revelation of the work of God to the servants of the Lord upon the people of God is that they will marvel at the things that they see. So, if the glory of the Lord will be manifest in our generation, the servants of the Lord must see the work of the Lord. When God stops revealing his works to his servants, the people in the landscape are rid of the glory of God. Every time you go into a place and the diagnosis is there is blackness, there is darkness because there is no glory, you want to find out, where are the servants of the Lord in this territory? If God has servants there, the next thing you want to find out is what is being shown to them, because it is the works of the Lord that is being revealed to the servants of the Lord that will determine the glory of the Lord that the people of God will see. So Moses, the man of God, was saying, let your work appear unto your servants, and your glory to their children. Listen to me. When we begin to live a powerless existence, when the testimony of God is lost in our generation, it is not necessarily because people are hard of hearing. The people that God has as representatives in that territory would have to go back to the Lord and find out from him, is there anything you are doing? Show it to me. Show me. Because it is the appearing of the work of the Lord to God's servants that will determine what the children of the servants of the Lord will see. And so if you have people that are looking up to you as the testimony of God upon your generation, and you are not seeing anything that God is doing, because Jesus said, if I don't have a message until I hear the message, I can't do a miracle until I see. I can imagine that on that day, if you look at the gospel according to Mark, you will see that a great time before day, Jesus will wake up and he will go into a solitary place and he will pray. And after he was done praying, the Bible says, because the preceding story told us that that was the day that he entered the house and packed it out. And some 4 men brought their friend who was paralyzed and they put him through the roof. And Jesus said, young man, arise, take up your bed and go. The fame of that work, it spread abroad. And many people came. The next morning, the disciples of Jesus came to him and said, sir, all men seek ye. I would think that this is a good time to establish a branch. But Jesus said, let us go to the neighboring towns. Why? Because the Son of Man cannot do anything except he sees the Father do it. So if the Father has moved, there is nothing I am doing here. And it has always puzzled me how that the man at the gate called Beautiful was in that gate. He was crippled from his mother's womb, and he was brought there daily to seek alms from all them that came into the temple. Jesus was going to that temple for a large part of his life. Jesus never raised that guy up, not once. Why? The Son of Man cannot do anything except he sees the Father do it. And this is important because God's works is to bring glory. God does not do something because he can do it. God does something because there is an end. That is why it is important that you may have power to turn stones to bread. You may have power to command that stones may be made bread. But because it is available does not mean that it should be done. Right? So, the works of God are for the glory of God. So that in the day that God was raising that guy at the gate called Beautiful, 5,000 men will be converted into the kingdom. Because it is the works of the Lord that are shown to the servants of the Lord that will determine the glory of the Lord that the people of God will see. I want to tell you that Ibadan is ready to see the glory of the Lord. And if Ibadan must see the glory of the Lord, the works of the Lord must appear to you and I. You must be able to see what God is doing so that you can replicate same. I'm not under any pressure to be original. I am not original. I was made after the God kind. From the beginning, I was not original. I don't have an original message. You get it? So, if I must show the glory of the Lord, because what kind of glory will I have? For God's sake, what kind of glory can I show to my people? What kind of glory? But can you imagine what will happen to a territory when the glory of God breaks upon the land? The only guarantee for glory upon the people of God is that the works of God should appear to the servants of the Lord. That's the only guarantee. And I want to tell you that there are people that God in the spirit have called your own. They have called your children. And these people, his intention is that they will see his glory. But it is dependent on you. Will you see his works? Will you see his works? Show me what you are doing. For the Father loveth the Son, and he shows him whatsoever you do. God, are you and I quarreling? Is it that you don't love me again? If that, the people you love, you show your works. Why are you not showing me what you are doing? Are we quarreling, oh God? That is the kind of prayer that you and I should be praying. Because the land that we are living in is read with all kinds of contradictions. And it is important that the glory of the Lord should permeate the atmosphere. The only way that can happen is if the works of the Lord appear to the servants of the Lord. Me, I am God's servant. I don't know about you. And because I am God's servant, my prayer is let thy work appear. Show me what you are doing. Can we rise up? And I want us to pray this prayer. Let thy work appear unto thy servants, and thy glory unto their children. Lord, if you and I are not quarreling, please, show me what you are doing. If you and I are not quarreling, please, show me what you are doing. If you are not allergic to me, can you show me what you are doing? Show me what you are doing. Let your work appear unto your servant.